to take pictures and everything, and they wanted to have like their name in the graffiti without actually doing the graffiti down there, which is kind of funny. That's cool though. I forgot that that's part of the thing. I did a little bit of research on street art actually.
Yeah.
Very interesting topic. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Articulate. This is Gretchen. Is it Dietz or Dietz? Okay, Dietz. Yeah, that's her name. Anyways, how you doing, Gretchen?
I'm great. It's so good to be here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I'm excited for this. Look at this. She brought a whole thing to make.
I brought a bar with me.
Old fashions are my favorite cocktail in the world. So I don't know if you knew this or not, but I used to be a bartender as well. Now, not a good one, but I did it just a little bit, just enough to become good at making old fashions. When did you start bartending?
Oh, actually kind of during the pandemic when everyone was like, I'm going to like stay inside and protect my family. I was like, it's just me and I'm very bored.
Yeah.
So I started bartending in a restaurant I won't name, but it was in Germantown and it was pretty loose.
Pretty loose.
But was able to buy an iPhone and a MacBook Air pretty quickly. There was a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that was crazy, but then I was like, oh, I actually love doing this and I want to make it like my regular job.
Yeah.
But I want to do it at like somewhere a little nicer.
Right.
Which, whatever, every place has its pros and cons, but
Sure.
I'm at a cocktail bar now, so I learned how to make like nice cocktails, but I love that you said old fashioned because this is what I make for my family, like at family parties.
Let's go.
Like exactly this setup that I brought.
Yeah, let's go over the setup, shall we?
We shall.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just going to make a classic old fashioned. We're going to, every bartender knows the ango.
The ango.
Just going to hit that.
Yeah.
And
2 dashes.
I guess I have to I kind of did 3 because I'm going to build 2 in one
Right.
glass.
Do you find that doing 2 in 1 makes it kind of like diluted or taste any different than doing just a single one? Because that was kind of when I was training some of the bartenders back in the day, that was kind of like the struggle is like multiplying when you had like 2 or 3 big orders and then they would just dump a bunch of one thing all together and it wouldn't come out the same at all.
Yeah, so like being at a cocktail bar, they're like really precise, which is like kind of obnoxious, but it does make you good.
Yeah.
And they basically they'd make us do like time tests where they'll just tell you like 5 random cocktails and be like, go, and you have to build them all. And if you're like elite, allegedly, it should be like 1 minute per drink.
Okay.
So you kind of get good by necessity, and then you get good just by like if it becomes like high volume or busy, you kind of become like a machine of like it's like 3 of this drink, 2 of this drink, 4 of that drink, like you have to build them in multiples because if you're like, I'll just make 1, like you'll be too slow.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun because it's kind of like a game. And like I was always like I sucked at math, but it's all just fractions, so I feel like I'm crushing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Is like, how do you get in? So that was like because you didn't even like bartend. Did you serve before, like COVID?
I would like bartend at like little wineries when I was like a teen.
Right.
Not really. Like there's some guys I work with, they're like also bartenders, but they've been bartending like. They like finished high school and were like, all right, I'm just gonna like have a good time in my life and be a bartender. And now they've been bartending like 15 years and they're like very good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everyone has different like career paths.
Right.
I basically tried to be like normal and then I was like, I can't work like normal hours. This is crazy.
Yeah. Normal hours like what, like 9 to 5?
Yeah, it's just like the morning. Like I don't even know. Some of the jobs I tried to do.
Morning is just
mornings, emails,
Ooh,
like
following
rules, like speaking appropriately. These are the things that are not.
These are all the things.
These are not in my wheelhouse, and everything's going so much better now that I've just been like, I need to be up later and more uncensored.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing for sure. All right, so we got the bitters and the journ.
So technically you want to do 2 dashes, but I'm doing 2 drinks, but I want to go a little easy. So I just did 3.
Okay.
And then, generally for an old fashioned, you're going to use some simple syrup as your sweetener.
Yeah.
I made like a really nice simple syrup with demerara. It's like a brown sugar. I feel like this is what elevates it.
Okay. Yeah, because I've only seen it with regular
Yeah.
Simple syrup.
Now my family is really spoiled because they're like, everywhere else they get an old fashioned and they think it sucks.
Yeah, that's so cool. Cause you literally melt sugar into water, right? And that's like how you make simple syrup.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
we
just I didn't know how to I didn't know how to make simple syrup the first day. I bartended at like this dive bar, and it was just like a bunch of like really brutal like prep cooks just staring at me like, you fucking idiot. And I just like Googled it. I'm like, oh, it's literally 1-to-1 sugar to water.
Yeah.
Sick. So I did the exact same thing, just with like
brown sugar.
nicer.
Very interesting.
Uh-huh.
And what about like the cherries? I thought that was big up like the liqueur cherries.
Great question.
Yeah.
So yeah, your classic, like I'm just gonna grab an old fashioned at any dive bar. They're probably gonna just toss the maraschino cherries on there.
Yeah, that's gross.
Which, yeah, I mean, I used to crush them in Shirley Temples when I was little, but
Yeah.
yeah. So like,
Ice cream sundaes.
yeah, for sure, a cherry on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for like nicer cocktail bars like the one I work at now, we use like Luxardo cherries that are like,
Yeah.
which I try to like really not become a snob about cocktails or anything in life because I just never want to be that way. But like whenever I'm out and
When
I
you
like
don't want to be a snob. That's crazy.
you're like, I'm so sorry to break this. It's too late.
It's way this is way too.
I'm
late.
here to talk about cocktails in my street art, but like in a low key way.
Yeah.
I kind of judge bars on it though. Like if I'm at a restaurant and like my dad orders an old fashioned, I'm like looking. I'm like, couldn't quite spring for the Luxardos.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I also didn't for this. I didn't buy them. I just bought an orange. I'm just gonna do like an orange swath, like a nice orange.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, that was my favorite part that I was looking forward to, but it's it's cool.
That's fine. I guess you'll have to have me back.
Probably. We got some nice bullet bourbon here.
I just love it. I don't know if it's the best, but
We used to use Woodford was our go-to.
oh yeah, that's good.
But yeah, and then the difference, and you prefer just. Do you have a preference between rye and bourbon?
Sloppy pours here.
That's okay.
Technically, you should always hold the jigger in your hand, but I'm multitasking.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like going into fall, I like rye a little more because it's like a little darker, spicier.
Yeah.
But I don't
Seasonal.
know. Sometimes I feel like maybe bourbon old fashioned,
Yeah.
rye Manhattan.
Okay.
It's like, are you going like a
That makes
little
sense.
warm, smoother, or are you going like boozy, bitter? Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have do you have a favorite cocktail in general?
This is up there for me. The place I work is a gin place, and I never was really into gin before. Yeah, you're making the face of like I have a bad.
No,
memory.
I mean, I can get into gin, but it's like the initial, like the first one where you're like, oh, that's going to hurt my stomach. Like, feels like everything is just being cleaned out on the inside of you, you know?
Yikes! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Some people are just not like I hate vodka, and
Yeah, I could see that. being a
tequila
similar
makes me
thing.
like crazy. I'm like this. You're like
We should drink some tequila tonight.
I
Let's
should
go.
have said. Yeah, but I don't know. I think certain spirits like agree with people more,
Right.
and that's why some people have like a drink they like. But like, I can't go wrong with this. And like when I've done like sober October, clearly not now, or like taking a break for a while, it's
Yeah.
like the thing I crave. I'll be like, if
Oh,
I
yeah.
could just drink some bourbon,
Yeah.
not
That's
in
what
like
I'm
a
saying.
chaotic way. Like I just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Like the flavor of it.
yeah. Yeah, I've always liked whiskey and bourbon.
Sure. No, it's strange because that's one time when I was younger, I didn't understand it as much. But my dad always says, he's like, listen, I don't drink coffee for the caffeine, and I don't drink bourbon for the liquor, like for the alcohol content.
Oh, just because you loved it?
Just like the taste, you know what I mean? And I was like, at first I was like, yeah, but also that helps a lot, taking it down, right? But no, I definitely get it at this point. Like, there's the whole thing of like the nightcap, and I think how a lot of people, pour a glass of wine at night when they come home from work or something like that.
So sorry to be rummaging.
No, it's okay.
listening. I'm thinking like your dad's funny. He's real casual about coffee and bourbon. I'm like, it's kind of what keeps me running, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's also like 60, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so am I, like maybe in my heart.
In your heart.
Oh,
Yeah, I
shit.
feel that way sometimes.
All right, I gotta drop the mic for a second just so I don't cut my
Oh,
hand.
no, just kidding. That's fine. I can totally not cover for both of us at the same time. But but then, I started bartending. Well, actually, I wanted to tell you first, I used to work at an ice cream parlor.
Nice.
And I found after bartending for a little bit when I was, I started bartending when I was 20, even before it was legal, which is kind of funny. In college, I'd have like Bud Lights on the weekends, and then I'd have like nice like fancy old fashions, and then we'd have like really nice wine tastings and things like that. And it was kind of fun to switch between the two. But I found that bartending and yeah. Bartending and serving ice cream are pretty similar in that you really just need like the base thing, which in ice cream is like the flavor of ice cream and or the liquor, right? And then you add all the other stuff on top, and as long as it tastes good and people get that, they're pretty happy with that in general. I guess the place that you go to, there's probably a lot of people that are really, really fancy with their liquors and everything. But
it's everybody.
Yeah.
This conversation's just making me want to pour liquor on top of ice cream.
Me too, actually. Dude, like bourbon and vanilla ice cream or like eggnog.
Yeah, when someone does that at like if they have you over for dinner, it's like game over.
Game over.
Yeah.
That's how yeah, definitely. All right, so we're stirring the sticks right now.
Yeah, I'm just sorry for all the acoustic mayhem I've already caused.
Part of the ASMR. We should have just gone silent for it. That would have been really cool.
What's like your favorite ASMR sound?
People have favorites? Oh, I guess like I'm more of a white noise guy as opposed to like.
I gotta go. I don't
What's
feel
your
safe.
favorite ASMR noise? What does that even mean?
I kind of thought it was like bullshit when people are like, some people like they're so sensitive to sounds that it makes like a crackly fun sound in their ear, and it's like their ear's like coming or something. And I was like, whatever, you fucking creeps.
Yeah.
And then I was like listening to a fireplace crackle with like real wood,
Yeah.
and I was like, ooh, this feels awesome.
No, that's actually.
But that's like a good one, I think.
Well, I guess that's not considered a white noise. That's an ASMR thing. I thought
think.
ASMR was like people making noises.
Oh yeah, there's videos where they're like whispering or whatever.
Like eating a pickle or like.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay, eating whatever. It's the opposite
Too
for
much.
me.
Yeah, too much. That's
I
disgusting.
hate mouth sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very gross. So yeah, I mean like that's actually. But my mom got me this like white noise like sound machine thing, and it has like rain, waves, like wind. You're fired. But it has like all these. But then it has the fireplace one, and the fireplace one is my favorite. It's the only one that I use on the whole machine, actually. Really nice.
White noise is good for sleeping, though.
Yeah. So it
Into
actually
that.
has like a timer on it too. So you like turn it on for like 3 hours, and then it'll turn off after you're like asleep. It's very nice.
I never realized how much bartending is it's a two-handed activity.
Yeah. Are these supposed to be like curved?
So if you're being really fancy, you can like cut the sides and put the little slit in.
Yeah.
And do like the twisty thing.
Yeah, the twisties.
But
You're
I was
using
like,
one hand right now.
sometimes I just like a swath. It's kind of like that's fine.
Yeah. Well, look at that.
Look at that. We can now.
Two very beautiful old fashions
You know,
that I'm really excited to enjoy. I cannot wait to do this.
I'm excited to serve them. I was glad you didn't say you wanted a gin drink because I'm like, oh my God, if he says he wants gin, I'm going to have to like juice limes and it's my day off. Fuck that.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for bringing this.
Yes. All right. Now I can relax and enjoy this.
Now we can sit back, relax, and talk about good old-fashioned street art.
Oh, yeah. What do you want to know about this underground world?
So much. Well, here's the thing with this one. So I've been trying to do some research about it. Like I always try to do a little bit of research about the topic, right? And it's basically just art. So it's like I don't know. Like I've got like I didn't mean to offend you. You got like a look in your face.
I have no control over my face at all. It's horrible. Someone will just speak and they're like, ooh. And I'm like, oh God, I didn't know anything changed. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I'm not an artist. Like
That's incorrect. You just made these beautiful pieces of work that I'm about to enjoy thoroughly.
Wow. I guess, I'm not like some people like went to art school or they're like trained in some way.
True.
I was just like a doodler person. And then during the pandemic, I started drawing a lot because I just had like suddenly all this time. So I just draw for like 8 hours a day.
It sounds like you really found yourself during the pandemic.
It was a great time for me.
Yeah. Honestly, like the first, I'd say like, so it happened in March. Up until like probably August, I was in a terrible state of mind. But then after that, so good.
You just kind of leaned into it.
Yeah, really leaned into it. And then I moved in by myself, first time ever, and like just was really isolated and just like had such a good time. Really like fell in love with myself.
Sounds like you found some drugs to do.
A lot of drugs.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely a lot of drugs.
Whatever works. Yeah, I started drawing a lot, and then I was like, I have these little doodle drawings. Like, what should I do with them? And then I was like, oh, I'll just make them into stickers, because stickers are like the cheapest way to, I don't know, do something with your art that's shareable versus like making prints that seem like kind of too intense.
Yeah.
And then I made the stickers, and I'm like, oh, now I have like these stickers. What should I do with them? And I'm like, oh yeah, people like put them everywhere.
Yeah.
So I just started doing that, and then I saw like someone else one day like putting up a sticker, and they like saw me looking at them, and they were like, "Are you a sticker artist?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then
the first time you were called an artist and called yourself an artist.
Yeah.
You agreed with it. Yeah.
I was like, I guess I made this. So yeah. And yeah, then I just kind of like started to meet up with other people, and we would like go out at night and like put our stickers up.
Hell
And started drawing on those like priority mail labels that like you steal from the post office.
Yeah.
That's like a big thing. And
that's
then like
federal. That's a federal crime.
yeah,
right
doing
there.
crimes.
Calling her out. Let's go. I got the cops coming in. Right? All right, we got it. Yeah. Got a confession. We're good. That's cool though.
Yeah, it was really cool. I feel like similar to comedy, doing art like that, it brings together like a weird group of people that it doesn't always like make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes I'm like at an open mic and I see like two people talking, and I'm like, that is so odd that like they're interacting. And like, whatever. I don't even know what I mean by that, but it was kind of the same way with the street art stuff, because there'd be like a renegade like teenager, and then like a person with like an office job that just like has this secret underground life of art that they do, and they were just like chilling.
Yeah.
And it was very fun.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Like, that was one of the biggest things to me when I started comedy, too, was just like, anybody can do an open mic. You know what I mean? Anybody can walk in this room, put their name on that list, and go up there right now, you know?
Yeah.
And it really does bring, like, Ben Stab and Naeem Ali, they're like close friends now. And it's just like, oh, like a white Catholic boy from Virginia hanging out with like a dude who grew up in Philly and like, you know, the depths of Philly.
Yeah.
Now we're just like good friends. It's like, how does that?
Beautiful.
It is
Sometimes
beautiful.
I see like Katarina talking to like a homeless man
Yeah.
looking person, and I'm like, it's really beautiful. Like,
True. Yeah.
but I think comedy also, like art, it's people that are really creative. Like I don't know how to say it exactly. Like the dumb word would be like intrinsically motivated or something, but whatever is in you that's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
You have to really want to do it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's other things you can kind of do more casually as hobbies, but like to like drive to a mic, sign up, and be like, hey, am I going up? And then like go up. Like, you have to be like pretty like, I'm fucking doing this right now.
Yeah.
And like same with art. Like some people are like, I've always wanted to try art. I'm like, well, do it. I didn't ask anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to do it, there's something in you that's like, I'm doing this.
It's telling you to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a weird drive. Sometimes I have it. It's almost like something's like putting me in my car and driving me to the open mic that I don't fully understand. And I'm like, this is so.
Why am I here right now? What are
know.
we doing? Yeah,
But there's like a force to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
On like a Tuesday night, and it's just like sad. Everybody's bombing. You know, nobody's doing well. And you're like, why am I here right now? But you know damn well you're about to get up on that stage and bomb yourself too. You know.
But you still like it.
So you still like it. Yeah, for sure. You enjoyed the experience. I agree. Real quick about street art, if you're interested.
Sure.
Hieroglyphics, question mark?
Oh.
Yeah, think about that.
Are they the original street art?
Probably not, but maybe.
Graffiti?
Graffiti. So the modern street art that most people would consider it today probably originated around like the 60s in New York. That's kind of where it just kind of started, popped up there. But I wanted to start at hieroglyphics because that was where my mind went, you know?
Yeah, it's why I like art and drawing, even if I'm not very like good at it by whatever standards. It's just very primal to like draw.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the questions I have written down is like, why do you think people have an instinct to just like do this? Because I think what it always comes back to, especially with art, is like a way to like, you know, people like carve their name into like a bench or something like that. It's just a way to like be acknowledged and remembered for some reason, like kind of putting your legend down a little bit in the history books. Even though that's the thing with street art, it seems very, very temporary in my opinion, you know?
It's definitely like a high risk and no payoff kind of situation. Cause like, I guess if like a couple people become like famous and their work has some kind of value and it becomes like an art collector thing. But like for the 99% of people that do it, it's just like this kind of fleeting thing. And it's also because it's art that you put up outside. It's very like subject to just like the elements of weather.
Yeah.
So like,
And the law.
yeah, and the buff man.
Yeah.
Which, like, I have to say, when I started, I've always thought, like, destroying or buffing art was, like, stupid. But when I actually started making it and putting it up, it became, like, even more insane to me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I guess it comes from, like, I don't know why. It's, like, things that are public, like a street pole. Who gives a shit, you know?
Right.
And like my work is also so like cute and like like not a problem that it
Right.
being buffed is like laughable to me. Cuz like a lot of the guys will do, and some ladies and people
Guys
will,
is a uniform term.
I mean, the graffiti gang was a lot of dudes. But they'll do a
the
lot
gang.
of like tags or like hand styles, or like for the stickers it's a lot of characters, like a little kind of
Yeah.
repeated character you'll see around. But like I would draw like a lot of girls, and I don't know why I just started drawing like these people and like putting them up.
Yeah.
So, and then I eventually started like wheat pasting them too. And there was one that was up for like 2 years and I just saw it's covered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you painted over essentially a paper doll, you fucking loser. Why?
What about that is offending?
They're
you?
like, this is not fit for society, or like, I don't know. It's like so odd that that's something that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but let's skip back to your style a little bit.
You're like, but back to ancient Egypt.
No, yeah.
You're really skipping ahead. This is
You're
not
really
okay.
jumping far
This is a
ahead.
bad guest.
Yeah, no. No, you're doing great. This is amazing, by the way. Thank you.
Thanks,
This
yeah.
is really tasty.
Oh, I wanted to go back to something you said with like graffiti started in New York.
Yeah.
This is like a major thing to know. Graffiti actually started in Philly.
What?
Yeah, and then it became popular in New York. But it was this guy Cornbread who's
Really?
still around.
Cornbread?
Yeah.
Have you met him?
No, but some of my friends have.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
but
cool.
it definitely is like a Philly, New York thing, but technically.
Yeah, well, I figure you, I mean, I would hope you would bring some more facts. I don't know. How did you find that out?
Just from kind of like figuring out where it came from, just similar like curiosities, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those little stickers around, say, like butter and salmon?
Yeah.
So like
Around here, yeah.
they're based here. That's really fascinating because it's also like with street art how anonymous you want to be, because
Right.
some people are like completely hidden and other people are like, oh yeah, I do street art, but I'm also like a designer and I work here and like whatever.
Yeah.
So butter and salmon are completely unknown and untraceable. No one knows who they are.
Yeah.
They won't take any interviews. You can only talk to them through someone else's Instagram, and then they're always like, yeah, we're not interested.
Yeah.
So, like, that's just kind of fun, though.
A big question I had was like how you can authenticate like a person, like if somebody did like a Banksy, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, because Banksy is completely unknown, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, if he's unknown, then how do you know? Like anybody could just be like, oh yeah, I'm Banksy, you know what I mean? Like,
What if that's my big reveal tonight here on the
Jeez,
podcast?
Banksy, wow.
You heard it here first. Unarticulate.
Wow, I didn't know Banksy was such a loser. No, sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm so sorry.
No, I don't. I'm not like one of those guys. It's like he's God. Like
Yeah.
I watch the documentaries. It's very fascinating.
Right. Oh yeah.
But
The one
Banksy,
guy.
Shepard Fairey, you know, the
Shepard
big
Fairey.
people in
Yeah.
that world. But it's really interesting.
Well, but like, so the anonymity type of thing,
Yeah.
it was like very like, again, it's like that's just the go-to name. But you know you can, like you said, I mean, with salmon and butter, is that what it was?
Butter and
Butter,
salmon.
salmon and
Yeah.
butter. Sorry. But it's like, how do they stay anonymous and yet hold such like a high standard? Because like, how do they have that brand? You know what I mean? I just don't understand it. Yeah.
And it's also like people are really not getting paid anything to do this, which is like you're really just creating art because you want to.
Right.
And like some people end up like making streetwear brands that are like offshoots of it, or like selling stuff in small galleries around here. But like most of it is just like pretty much like you're on your own, like just you have some impulse to create stuff and put it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird activity, but I'm gonna probably get back into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably get back. Yeah. So I guess it started with the sticker thing for you. And then, you know, you kind of, did you do anything like more in depth after the sticker thing? I guess the lady characters.
Yeah, so I started drawing like girls, like I would, and like ladies. I would just look at like fashion brands I liked, but ones that were more like skate brands that were more like kind of relaxed, and just kind of draw like people off those, and like their clothes looked cool.
Yeah.
And I guess just kind of to be like, have a kind of different look out there, because it's kind of like the graffiti tags are great, but it's kind of like a lot of the same style, and it just wanted to look different. So I did that, but then I would get kind of frustrated because I would like draw like a nice drawing and then like put it up, and then sometimes it would just like rain and be ruined, or just someone would like pull it off. Then other times some people would like find it and like tag it on Instagram and be like, I saw cool art, and I was like, whoa. So it's always a gamble, but I got frustrated by like one I really liked and it just died like so fast, and I was like, I gotta like scan these or something. That was dumb. I was just like working for hours and then just like throwing it into the wind like little pieces of trash. Like, all right, so I started like scanning them, and then I was like, oh, I could like wheat paste these, because that's another part of street art is like,
What's wheat paste?
you'll see like a lot of like posters up, and sometimes, you know, you'll see like posters on like the sides of like I don't know, not like scaffolding, but like just like surfaces around on the city, like on the side when you're walking around, like there'll be like maybe
like when a taller building is right next to a smaller building and it goes on the side of that wall.
Like if there's like a construction site and there's like wood up or something,
Oh,
or
yeah,
there's like something's abandoned and it's like boarded up, and then people just start to kind of like put stuff on it. Yeah, you'll start to see, because sometimes it'll be like posters like advertising shit, but then other times it's just like artists putting up work, and there'll be kind of like sometimes like a little spot will emerge, like if someone's like, oh, there's like this clear. That's the thing to like street artists, like any abandoned thing looks like a blank canvas. It's like, right, they just want to go right there. So like
cool.
if some building is like marked for like demolition and it's just like boarded up and there's like a like barrier in front of it, but it's just like a plain black or plain wood, everyone's like, I'm gonna put art on that. Yeah, so I started doing that a little bit here and there, and you can also do it on like, I don't even know. I mean, you can do it a lot on South Street. You just have to be careful because you're technically not allowed. So, but I've done, if there's like a little spot where people are putting stuff up on South Street, that's just a good spot because so many people go through, and like Tattooed Moms is like amazing for street artists because we can put up work inside and it lasts like forever because it's inside and people are like respectful.
Right.
So that's like better for visibility.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I wrote down too, is like, not only like obviously the style. Well, so when there was like the evolution, right, of the graffiti art, I guess, where it kind of went from just like writing, they would always write their name and then write like the street number that they lived on, was kind of the beginning of it, right?
They wrote where they lived?
But it wasn't where they lived, but it was just like the street number. So it was like Futurama 178 or something.
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Something like that. That was like part of the tag. But then it kind of went more into the abstraction with like drawing actual lines, and then it kind of added a lot of style, and then went into concept a little bit. At least that's what I read.
You did some research.
Yeah. This is all I can do. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about street art.
You're like, I told you I didn't talk to anyone today.
Yeah. Exactly. But what I thought was really interesting is like after you got to basically where we are now, a lot of what made street art, like what made it impressive was like the placement, you know what I mean? Like where it was, how risky it was to get there, how hard it was to get there, the control of like the art and the style while you're doing it, because if it's something you have to do quick, you know, it doesn't look as cool, or if it's a moving train or something, you know,
Yeah.
that's a little different. And then of course the complexity on top of that. But that was like something that I thought was I hadn't thought about before, you know, how much actually goes into where you're putting it and all the thought that you have to consider.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I met a lot of cool people through it. There's a sticker artist who's been active forever around here. His name is Bob Will Rain, and his character is Bob. It's just like this kind of little, like a line drawing of this kind of box like little guy, Bob, and he's just like everywhere.
Yeah.
And he sent me a bunch of his work, and I sent stuff back. That was cool. Other like actual like graffiti writers that are like pretty wild.
Yeah.
I still see the tags everywhere.
Right.
This one guy, his work was like really crazy. He was one of those guys that went for like just like as much as possible, like sheer volume. He's like he has this image. It's like this picture of this girl. It's like a blurry photograph that he pulled off like an old postcard, and he just prints like all these images of this image all the time and like wheat paste them everywhere.
Yeah.
And he also has like a clothing brand, but it was like insane. And he got kind of like rejected by the street art community of like whoever's like, I guess, good, which whatever that means, or like people that are known more. And I was like, dude, whatever, like you're like hustling. I love like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I was like watching, I wasn't watching TV. I was on Instagram, and I saw freaking Matisse Thybulle wearing a T-shirt with the image on it.
Really?
And I just like DM'd this dude, and I was like, dude, nice. And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe he was over hustling. I mean, like, why did they look down?
He's like 20.
Oh, okay.
There's also like a lot of super young people.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is like I feel like part of the fun is like running around. You know what I mean? And like kind of in under the cover.
Similar
of
to comedy, like you're out late. There's all these interesting, weird people around.
Yeah.
It's just a good time.
Yeah, I wonder if that originates because I used to love like like ding dong dishing back in the day.
Oh yeah,
like, just doing degenerate shit. You know what I mean? I wonder if that's where a lot of it comes from.
Some of the guys would be like worried about like getting caught. I remember we were like out one night and there were like cops around, and they're like, we gotta like stop for like a little. And I was like, I'm just like the only like lady with them, and just like like a normal looking blonde lady. So I was like, whatever, like if there's a problem, I'll say we're the neighborhood decorating committee.
Yeah. And then they would probably let it go.
Yeah, which says a lot about our country, and it's honestly bad. But
that's true.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, very, very strange. But at least like, I don't know. At least you were able. At least you didn't like get an interest in it, and then you found out it was a bunch of like weirdos doing it or anything like that.
True. Yeah.
That's what I find with like a lot of communities that I just like kind of pop into, which is cool about like living in the city, which I never really got a taste of before. But like I just went down to the skate park that one time after my friend told me about it, because I used to hang out with skaters all the time and like wanted to just check it out and see what it was like. But they were all like super nice people, even though they looked fairly intimidating. They were all just like, hey man, like, do you mind if you pass me that? They had like a bottle or water up there or something, and like, how's it going? And telling me like the hours, and they're just really friendly people, and I think that's, like I said, I think it's really cool that within even the graffiti community, while it's kind of a technically illegal and kind of a scary thing to do, I don't think it should be anything to be afraid of,
No, and the skate parks are also great places for street artists to put up work, and they're like very respectful. Like people put stuff up there and it stays up longer, which is nice. And then it becomes part of the look. Like when people shoot skate videos or people shoot videos to like promote their brands.
Yeah.
It's just part of the whole
aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of the aesthetic.
Yeah, the punk rock aesthetic. I love that
Both
stuff.
FDR and Pains I've put up work, and my friends have. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's nice.
Cool. Yeah. How often do you so you don't do it anymore?
I haven't lately. I have been like drawing again, so I think I want to do it again more. Yeah, it's fun.
Remember like 20 minutes ago when you're like, when people were like, yeah, I want to do this, and then they didn't do it.
I did do it. I'm just on hiatus.
True, just on hiatus.
I become creatively obsessed with things. So I was like
Okay.
obsessive about drawing, and then I became obsessed with comedy. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, what would like a balanced life look like? I don't know.
Well, it's that like intrinsic motivation you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is like that was one thing that really drove me to do comedy, and like honestly, I'm kind of searching for that next like I haven't found another thing that drives me as much as it used to. You know what I mean? And I guess like a balance would be good, and I think I'm just trying to try as many things as possible right now, just to see if one of them pulls me one way or another.
Is this the point of your podcast? You're like, look, I need a new hobby, so I'm
need a
gonna
new
have
hobby.
people on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not really. But I mean, the podcast has never been just comics until I got here. And then I've only made friends with comics, so that's where we're at now.
I was like, it's cool you want to talk about topics like other than comedy and like learn about other like hobbies and interests, because I feel like every comedian's podcast is like, I'm funny and you can come on and be funny as well.
Yeah.
And we'll just show off how funny we are. And I'm like, all right, well.
Which is like part of that industry,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But like, again, it's like I also just like learning about other things too, you know? It's like cool to hear about like the street art community and like how you see it from the inside perspective, or, you know, hearing about like I had an actor on, or like hearing about, you know, nerdy. I had just all the different sort of things, you
You
know.
had an actor on?
Yeah.
Dude, I find actors so annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I feel like actors are the opposite of comedians.
Yeah, it's really funny actually.
Yeah. Whenever someone's like a little bit annoying to me, they're like, I think I might want to be an actor. I'm like, follow your dreams.
Shit.
I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like, I mean, I am thankful for actors because like I love watching movies,
Right.
and I don't have that skill. I was in like a couple little films in college, and I was like, I'm pretty bad, guys.
Yeah.
I can be like in the background.
Maybe you don't
But-
like actors because you're jealous.
Yeah, probably. No. Well, they spend all their time pretending to be somebody else, and they're very good at it. But then I'm like, in normal life, maybe they're not that cool.
Mm.
Whereas like comedians are very cool. Well, we know this, right?
If you say so, Gretchen. No, yeah, I don't know. I think it's the same way as we were talking about, where it's like within each community, you can always find some cool people that you would jive well with, you know.
I guess.
But maybe with actors, not as many as you might like, perhaps.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, it's okay. I mean, you're allowed to have. That's the thing. Is like I just don't have any opinions about anything. So that's what I bring to the table. But no, I do agree that like I enjoy like having other people talking about different things like this, because again, it just like gives different perspectives that I wouldn't be able to have learned from. You know, I wouldn't have learned from anywhere else. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah, it's good stuff.
What other questions do you have on your
What
legal
other
pad?
questions? My little notepad. Honestly, I told you this was a really hard one to like get into, but I wanted to know, yeah, like the different like techniques and like styles. Like wheatboarding was like something that I didn't.
Oh.
I like read vaguely, but like yeah, you know, did you? So when you started, did you like get really into like learning? There's probably a whole vocab in
Yeah.
in street art that.
I was starting to forget it actually. On the way here, I'm like, what were those weird stickers we use that are like hard to buff? I'm like, oh yeah, like eggshell stickers. There's like this
Eggshell
whole like little weird nerdy like subset, or like I was talking about like the priority mail labels you steal from the post office to draw on. There's like then like a nerdy graffiti thing of like having the older versions of those that
Ooh.
are like weirdly
The
shaped.
vintage
Yeah.
ones?
It's like, yo, I'm gonna send you my work on like vintage slaps that are from like 1998, and you're like, sick. It's like, why? I don't know, but I have some of that. But yeah, the wheat pasting. So that, yeah, I guess
Complex, multi-layered backgrounds.
the true wheat pasters make their own wheat paste at home from scratch out of I don't even fucking know what.
Like brown sugar and like water.
It's actually the demerara syrup I put in my old fashioned. No, it's almost like cornstarch or something. It's sort of like how you'd make wallpaper paste,
Yeah.
but if you do it wrong, or if you put it in a container, apparently it can get like explosive. And I'm like, I don't want that.
That's pretty hardcore though.
Yeah, I was definitely like riding in a van one time on the way to graffiti pair with like two like 20-year-old dudes like 2 years ago, and they were like, "Oh, I hope that wheat paste doesn't like pop off." And I was like, "As me as well. Like, I hope we make it." Like, and then I'm gonna go to graffiti pair and wheat paste like a drawing of a lady that's gonna be up for like one day before like teenagers just like destroy it. What am I doing with my time? But no, I would just buy it like at the craft store, like some sort of like adhesive thing, and sometimes you could like dilute it just like in a little container and just like take it out with a brush and like do it real quick.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just a different style. I like doing that. Like, I think I'll do that more.
The
stickers are just kind of, I don't know, they get boring to me after a while. They're small and they're everywhere.
Is there like I guess it depends on the amount of effort you're putting into it, of course, but is there like one that's considered harder to do than other ones, like wheat pasting versus like stenciling versus like stickering or whatever?
I think the true graffiti artists that are like going out with like cans and like climbing buildings and like putting their tag up in like a huge way think the sticker people are like nerds, which like they're not wrong. And then I think the wheat pasting is kind of like in between.
Okay.
And then there's like weird collaborations that happen that are cool.
Yeah.
Like there's this one woman who does like, it's called like yarn bombing, and she'll do like yarn stuff everywhere.
Yeah, that's cool actually.
And then she would like collab with like wheat pasters. So there'd be like a cool like picture, like someone pastes up as a poster, and then like cool like other like 3D yarn stuff around it. And it's like there's no rules. You just kind of put it up wherever.
Yeah.
So I think it's become a lot more like relaxed, and generally in Philly, I think this goes across like most of the art forms. Like people are pretty chill and like kind.
Cool.
I don't think it's like that off-putting.
Right.
Like I have a lot of friends that are musicians too, and you know, I think once you kind of break in, everyone's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah like we have such a vibrant scene of like street art and like house shows, and like the comedy mics are like every night. Like there's a lot going on here that's like I don't know, one of the reasons I really like being here.
Right, same. No, absolutely agree. So as somebody that you probably pay attention to a lot of the like what street art culture is currently like, right?
I don't know really. I just kind of, I didn't go into it like, this is street art, I'm totally gonna do it. I just was like drawing, and then was like, what should I do with my drawings? It kind of emerged from like a very small place, like just very humble about it. Like, but I think about any creative thing that way, because sometimes people are like, oh, this person's like a famous musician, and I'm like, they go in like a studio or their house and they like play chords. Yeah. Like, you know, and like eventually they go on tour and play a show, and it's crazy, and it's like changes people, and people put their songs in like their weddings and they cry, and they've created something like unnameable that will last forever. But like the beginnings of the creative process are so basic and humble and small. And like to me, it makes me respect any creative person. Because I'm like, if you're an artist, you get up and you like draw something or you paint something. If you're a musician, you get up and you like work something out. Right. If you're a comic, you like try to write some goddamn jokes. You know? It's just like, it's all kind of the same thing in a way. I feel really connected to anybody that's trying to create anything. I think it's very cool. And I hate just like the idea of not creating is insane to me, and I don't know, like sometimes I'm like, why do I pick these hobbies that make no money? I'm like, oh, street art, I'm like negative $300 in art supplies. Or like comedy, I'm just like giving my jokes away for free and like bombing. I'm like, why do I do this? And I'm like, because it's so much more enjoyable than just like watching TV. Like watching TV is fine, but like,
or like doing paperwork to buy real estate or something.
Maybe we should be acquiring real estate. Stop recording right now.
This is now a real estate podcast.
Let's reinvent it as that. Be like, we're back. It's Steve and Gretchen. We've acquired property. We are building capital. I don't know. I'm just drawn to creating things, and it keeps me sane somehow.
No, that's really good, actually. Yeah, that's something that I think is very important to keep focused on, which is really hard when you're in a city or in a group that does find it competitive sometimes, because I feel like if you're not like marketing it as a big thing or like trying to push it out bigger, then it becomes like, what are you doing then? You know what I mean? And that kind of personally has diminished my those humble beginnings that you were talking
Interesting.
about.
It affects your like ability to enjoy it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that comedy is the more aggressive of the art forms. Luckily, I have a pretty thick skin from being a bartender, a street artist, and just like a misfit person my entire life, kind of getting like banged around.
No,
I'm just kind of like, one person being like, "You suck" is not gonna deter me.
Yeah.
It's like, no, but yeah, I find like comedians are a little off-putting. I don't know if the caginess is like part of the personality, because it's like we're all kind of like a little like weird people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm like, why does nobody talk to me? And I'm like, well, it's like comedians. It's not like we're like necessarily great at social skills.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And some people are like fucked up by the time they're at their third mic of the night. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But yeah, some of that, I guess like the trendy word is like gatekeeping or whatever, but I don't know. I started to get kind of frustrated by that, still being new in comedy. And then I was like, if I've learned anything from like being in a lot of creative things and having a lot of creative friends, it's that it happens very organically. Like if you do the work you like and you are positive about it, you eventually will link up with people where that resonates with them.
Yeah.
And then you'll make things together. And that to me is more enjoyable than like, I'm going to get something better than what they got.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like making art competitive. I guess some people are like, comedy is not art. And I could see that too.
No, comedy's art for sure. Some comedies.
I mean, my jokes are art.
Right.
Yeah, the competitiveness is a little silly. I think there's enough to go around. But
Yeah,
maybe
fair
some
enough.
people have different goals, right?
True. People have different values, definitely.
Yeah. One time I hate those like motivational quotes sometimes, or like just like cliche things, but I read this quote one time. It said, "Success looks different to different people." And I really think about that a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're younger, there's a lot of like comparing. And I'm like, whatever like you're doing, if that's what you want to be doing, like that's fine. So I'm like, it's people that look really aggressive and they're like trying to like push people out and like get stage time. I'm like, well, maybe that's success to them, is they want a Netflix special and they are going to not stop until they get it. And like, if that's what that is for them, like that's fine.
Right.
But like success for me right now is trying out new jokes and seeing what works, meeting people and trying to link up with people that I like feel are a similar style or like mindset.
Yeah.
And then like getting on some shows and getting paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, maybe in a few years I'll be like, oh, I'm getting on like great shows. Or maybe in a few years I'll be like, oh, I quit comedy and now I'm a painter. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not out to like brutalize anybody. You know, I think life is hard enough that I'm kind of here to do my thing, maybe like build up some people around me and kind of like just keep moving along.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's almost like a day by day type of thing.
Yeah, I don't
versus
know.
like I'm going to figure out my entire life. and
Do
I'm gonna
people
be
have a
famous.
plan?
People have plans?
I don't.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
No, but that is really refreshing to hear because, like I said, especially in Philadelphia in general, yes, in the comedy scene, but in a lot of other communities that I'm in as well, it does seem to be a competitive thing, or not just competitive.
Do you think that's a dude thing?
Could be a dude thing.
Interesting.
Actually, definitely a dude thing. But there's some shared qualities between, all genders. But
Sorry, I'm
yeah.
getting canceled on my
You're fine.
first live podcast appearance. I'd be like, men are so competitive. They're like, she's canceled for the gender stereotypes.
No, but it definitely is for sure, because that's where I feel like I've gotten a lot of that. And again, it's not even a competitive thing a lot of the time against other people, but you're supposed to compare yourself against yourself is like one of those cliche things.
Right.
But in that sense, it almost is like that can get unhealthy. You know what I mean? Not that that is unhealthy to just hold yourself compared to yourself, but I feel like if you're pushing and pushing and pushing against yourself, then it's like becomes a little much, if that makes sense.
Like your own standards are too high?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for some people, for sure. And like I said, is like when I say competitive, it's like a competitive nature. Like you said, your version of success is almost a competitive version of what your version of success is. So it's like, well, my version of success is this. How can I be more competitive against that version of success,
No.
you know? It becomes a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm like talking like I'm chill here, but sometimes I'm like,
Of course.
you know, well, the thing with comedy is like it makes you sort of compulsive because you're like, the only way to get better is doing it. And you can quickly see like the more you do it, the better you get. And if you don't do it, you start to like lose a step with it.
Right.
And so then you're like, so if I want to be good, I have to be doing it constantly.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So it's I feel like any art thing is hard to navigate like what success is or progress is because it's so like just
Ambiguous.
weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's
art is strange, and I think that's one of the reasons why like researching street art was so like it was like there's so many directions I could take this conversation.
Art is really strange because of like how when money gets involved with it.
Oh, yeah.
Not to get like philosophical.
No,
but
no, it's true.
it's weird. Like I got booked on a comedy show and got paid, and I was like, okay. And I thought I would feel like great,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm like, oh, I just have been to 100 shitty open mics in my first year of comedy, just trying.
Yeah.
And someone finally was like, you're on a show for 15 minutes and you will be paid.
Nice.
And like that happened.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know if that was any different than the other stuff. Like, I still like told jokes with a microphone, and there were people,
Yeah.
and like they laughed at some of the jokes.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It didn't feel as like amazing as I expected.
Right. I think for some people it does, but I agree.
Really?
That's, yeah, and like I don't know. Some people get really excited. Yeah, really. Yeah, some people would get really excited about
What
that.
I'm learning from this conversation is I really need to start caring about money more
No,
and acquire real estate.
No. Well, I'm just saying that, like you said,
Some people are
success
motivated
is,
by, okay, this is like a major, not to make this my therapy session, this is a major like thing with me. Okay, so there's like, people will talk about, like more nerdy people, like teachers or whatever. There's like different kinds of motivation, and let's say like, there's intrinsic and extrinsic.
Yeah.
Right. And intrinsic is like I'm inner motivated, like I myself am motivated to do stuff.
Right.
And then extrinsic is like external stuff, like awards or like prizes,
Yeah.
or like I'm motivated to like achieve like awards and things that other people in society can see.
Yeah.
And I think like most people are kind of like somewhere in between, but I'm like pure intrinsic, bro. Like, because every like award or prize, it's kind of arbitrary in a way.
Right.
And like even things
a
that
little
are
materialistic.
or just like according to who, like even
Right.
if you win like an Oscar, it's like, okay, according to like a certain group of people that liked a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just, not that I'm like, if you're like, I have Oscar winning actor here, I wouldn't be like, whatever. Like, I mean, of course it's not nothing, it's something, but is it as epic as everyone thinks it is? And people that like kind of chase this like society's awards and prizes, I'm just like, you look so silly. I don't know, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really valuable to me.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why I'm going to die in obscurity.
No.
Which I'm fine with.
No, you
I'm
won't.
going to die in this basement.
Yeah, you might.
But it
just
has
kidding.
a lot of really great rugs.
Yeah, a lot of cool rugs down here. No, but I mean, you've already solidified your place in history. This
And
isn't going to go
laundry.
into obscurity. You know.
This basement studio has rugs and laundry.
Rugs and laundry.
You could
We are in a high class building. I
rent
paid
out
millions
this
of-
room
Yeah.
like now.
No, that's funny though. No, but that is like
What do you
I
think?
enjoy.
Are you like both? Do you want people to like recognize like when you're like crushing?
So I actually had an episode about motivation back at like 78 or something.
Sorry,
like
I didn't
that.
listen that far back.
No, I know you didn't, but I'm gonna make you listen to that one after this conversation.
Shout out Kellen Hyde on the emo episode.
That was a great episode.
Hell yeah.
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 No, but I this was a big thing for me as well, like intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, and it wasn't the things that I'm saying now about like money and how the different like competitive nature between like success and other versions of success.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't things that were revealed to me. I thought a lot similarly to the way that you think before I started talking to a lot of the people in Philadelphia. Well, a lot of the guys that I've met in Philadelphia, probably through comedy. You know what I mean? So before that, it was kind of like, well, I just want to make a podcast where I just talk to everybody. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then you get here and people are like, oh, you need to film it, or you need to, put out clips, or you need to have like more of a focus, like and really get like a target audience and things like that. And it's like, I understand why, and I get the point of that. And it's not only because of money, right? But it's because if you have higher quality podcast, then that'll make higher quality people, or people that have more credibility, more interested in coming on your podcast. You know what I mean?
We're really getting into like humanity.
Humanity, I know. We're getting
But
down
what
into
is a
depths.
higher quality person?
Right, and that's the question, right? So technically there's not a higher quality person, but there are people who are recognized by more amounts of people as having more interesting ideas or more intriguing things, right?
Right.
So it's almost like, I've talked about this a couple of times, but like the point of creativity in general, well, Beethoven, right?
Okay. We're taking it way back.
I know, Beethoven, but he says the point of life is to get as close to divinity as possible and share it with as many people as you can. So
That's what I'm doing with my comedy.
Right. Talking about dicks and balls.
It's divine when I talk about my failures dating skateboarders. It's close to the divine.
It's really close to the divine.
It's right there.
No, but so I think that people that have credibility, higher quality people, have found a better way to express the creativity within them as compared to other people who are still working on that tool to get to that point.
Very interesting. I am not sure I completely agree.
No, that's fair.
You might be right.
No.
But have they been able to express themselves better, or have they chosen to express themselves in a way that's more marketable and understandable in our current time?
True.
Because, yeah, I mean, if we wanted to make this really snappy podcast, like, we could, but it's one of the reasons I was really excited to be on your podcast, because I was like, oh, like, I've talked to you and you're a very interesting, thoughtful person. You want to learn about different things, and you are taking the time to like reach out to people and actually listen versus the other podcasts that seem to be like really focused on a certain angle of self-promotion, which there are some comedy podcasts that are really fucking good. And I'm like, yeah, I listen to them, and then I see the clips and I'm like, yeah, they're crushing. Like, they're good.
Yeah.
I would love to be on a podcast with people that cool and be that funny. Maybe someday. But there's also people that enjoy like a little looser or a longer form conversation as just part of like the human experience, and like being willing to like just kind of talk it out even if you're not totally sure.
Yeah, I agree. And so maybe those people that I would consider to be higher quality, that I would want to be interested in coming on the podcast, aren't the type of people that I would want to have on my podcast, because they don't
name
have
names
the same
now.
No. But yeah, no, I mean, I can see both sides of that. Like, if somebody were to really value the creative process and everything, even if they had some sort of, a lot of credibility, they could still have the lessened ego to be like, oh, I like Steve, and his podcast seems interesting. And
Who are these people that you can't access?
True.
Jesus. Have you asked them?
No, but imagine, like, who's the
Interesting.
most famous, like, who do you really look up to within street art? If you said, like, Banksy, is like, Banksy wouldn't come on and like hang out with you, you know, for
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? If like who's your favorite
You're
comic?
like, hey, it's Steve. I asked Dave Chappelle, and he wants to decline my podcast.
Exactly.
So I'm not with the high quality people.
Right, exactly.
I mean, there's levels to it.
Right.
But yeah, but maybe some of these people, if they're in the local scene, you could always ask.
True. Local scene
I guess
for sure.
it would feel bad to get rejected, though.
Also true.
That would suck.
That would suck bad.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
podcasting is like dating.
Yeah.
Wow, this is getting pretty nice here. I even made the drinks.
Yeah, you did make the drinks. Thank you for that again, by the way.
High quality people, interesting. Because sometimes I am like kicking myself because I'm like, if I would just act a little more normal and networky, I could probably have better opportunities.
Right.
And like, maybe shut up and not alienate influential people that could help me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just like am myself and
Yeah.
you're like an idiot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sure.
See, that's exactly my response too. But I don't think you should change. And I obviously you won't. My brain isn't going to change anything.
It's too late
So
now.
It's too late. but I feel like that initial thought of like the opportunity becoming higher if I put more marketability behind it has what I think has affected me. And I don't like that. That's why it was refreshing to hear your initial perspective on art, because I was like, yeah, that is why I started this podcast initially. And yes, of course, I want to grow my opportunity, but I want to make sure to keep it at that humble beginning and keep it to something that I enjoy doing and have fun doing. You know?
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun, I think.
Yeah.
And I really value authenticity, and I think that's key in comedy. Because, like,
True.
if you're not who you are, like, talking about shit that directly occurred to you, obviously, like, constructed into some kind of joke or bit, and you're not, like, speaking the way you speak, like, if anything's slightly off or false, the audience can smell that immediately.
Right.
The crowd hates you.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever tried to, like, kind of force a bit that's, like
Like a
not really
character.
something you'd say?
Yeah.
Or, like, you're kind of off and your voice is just kind of, like, too harsh or, like, too... And, like, it doesn't... It just dies.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to be so fucking funny, composed, prepared, and confident, even if you're faking it.
Right.
And, like, delivering it in, like, the perfect way for people to be like, yeah, it's so
Yeah.
fucking hard.
Yeah.
But it feels so good.
It does feel good when you nail it. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think if anything, getting into comedy is like making me more of like an authentic crusader, because like I'm like, man, you really can't fake shit up here.
Yeah.
Or if you do, it's not the kind of comedy I like. It's like,
Yeah.
ooh, you did like a certain trendy thing to get the real. I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
also
know.
like that you're opinionated, because even when I was
God.
no, even when I was intrinsically motivated, I just didn't have opinion. I still don't have opinions about anything, but I've kind of
Well, that probably means you're a very open person.
yeah. But I think having opinions is valuable, especially in today's society.
It's very like alienating sometimes. Like I've lost a lot of friends because they're like,
really?
you are so rude. And I'm like, it's not my intention to like ever cause anybody any pain. And I really try to respect every single person, regardless of high value or
Except
not.
actors.
Except for actors,
Yeah.
like they can all die. But there's certain things where I'm like, no, like I've thought about this and like this is what I think. And someone's like, no, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not changing on that.
Right.
Like for better or
Well,
worse.
and then it's up to the other person, if they're an opinionated person as well, like you would be, to be like, okay, well, I respect that that's your opinion, and move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And still, like, you can accept that you have different values or different views on things and still be close to a person. Just don't talk about those things, you know? Unless
Yeah,
it's like
I
a
should work
fundamental
on that.
thing. Maybe.
All right. I have a lot. I have to acquire real estate, work on my communication skills, and meet some high value people.
No. See, but I just, like, am really refreshed again that you, like, have these things. And, like, again, it's just a reminder of the perspective that is in my value. Like, I value that perspective
Thank
a lot.
you.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've only done comedy for like a little less than a year, and I've only been on like a few tiny shows, but I'm still like, I see why showbiz makes people crazy.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, just getting like the slightest, tiniest taste of it at the lowest level, I'm like, it does make you like insane. You can get in some like insane thought patterns. Like I think one of the dangerous ones is when you're like, oh, why is so and so getting like what I'm not getting?
Yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
Like whenever I start to have that, I like shut that shit down immediately and like go do another activity, because I'm like, there's just nothing to be gained from that at all.
No.
But it's like really natural, I think, as a human, your mind compares to you compare yourself to other people, or
Right.
I don't know, but
Comparison.
it's whatever. It's really hard to just be like, nah, I'm on my path. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know where that started? With the Egyptians and their
those
hieroglyphics.
That's actually the first sentence they wrote. They're like, my path, my direction.
I drew
Yeah.
this god better than your god.
You're like, they're actually very individualistic, those Egyptians. Oh, man.
I'm sure. I shouldn't have an Egyptian on, an ancient Egyptian on.
They were like, my way or not, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, the first sentence.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for. I think we're good. Did I miss anything? Is there anything
Too much.
too much? You think?
Cut the last hour.
Cut the last hour. Last hour's the best. I'm gonna cut the first. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, cool.
No, I was kidding. It was all great. It was all perfect. Thank you for coming. Gretchen Dietz at it's __2 underscores.
That's right.
Gretch. GRETCH. That's your Instagram.
It's my professional Instagram.
Right. Do you have any? Oh, do you want to promote a personal Instagram?
Oh, you want me to? This is my street art Instagram.
Oh, you have a street art Instagram. Yeah,
I'll show it to you if you want to put up a picture, but I'm not gonna say it on here.
Okay.
Just want to promote my upcoming tour dates. November 17th, Punch Buggy Brewing.
Okay.
It's just that. Thanks, John Deere.
And this might not even be out by then, so
Yeah, that's fine.
But cool. All right. Yeah. Thanks again for the drinks and everything. I appreciate you coming out, and I've had a good conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Same.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's wrap this shit up.